Hello. I literally shared everything in like record speed. So still stressing over that. So we got to get that 5 minute countdown. We need a longer a longer time to count things down. But hello everyone and welcome to the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. Katie and Caitlin here reporting at you after another week of NFL, another week of Housewives, Drama Llama, and news. And we are ready to sit here tonight, talk about it all with you guys. We are so happy to be here again. Another Wednesday night. We're here.
Another week for me where the Giants and my fantasy team both lose.
Oof, I got to tell you, and you'd think with three fantasy teams, at least one would be good, and they're all different players. None of them are really alike. No, I got to tell you, fantasy is not good. It's not good for me this year.
No.
So we just didn't, make the mark on that. But you know what? It is what it is. We're gonna truck through. We're coming into week 7. We'll see how it is. There's still time for fantasy. I don't know how much time left the Giants have. Probably not enough. So, but let's keep putting our eggs in the basket for fantasy and see what comes out on the other side there. I still have Alabama football, obviously. We had our minor hiccup, but I think we might be okay. But who knows? So thank you all for joining us. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I see a ton of people already coming in on Twitter. Just a reminder, we cannot see you. We cannot see your comments. So if you do want to comment, do you want to engage, go over to Facebook or YouTube. We recommend YouTube. I will drop that link on the Twitter feed in a second for our YouTube channel. But without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get into it? So we polled our audiences across all of our social media platforms. We asked you 3 questions. And then actually one of you guys popped in a question for us. So we will answer that after these poll questions here. So our first question to everyone was, who is the bigger threat right now in the NFC? Is it the Arizona Cardinals or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? 70% of you went with Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, though. I think there are a lot of threats in the NFC.
There are.
Compared to the AFC. The NFC is looking like a lot of big, heavy hitters right now. But, of course, Arizona and Tampa Bay are probably the top 2. And I went with Tampa Bay. Granted, I understand that Arizona is the only undefeated team left, but I feel as though at the end of the day, it's Tom Brady. And these are the reigning Super Bowl champions for a reason. We always say it. They brought back pretty much the majority of their entire roster, which is incredible. And to me, they are still the team to beat in the NFC.
So I actually went with Arizona. While I agree with everything that you just said. I question some of the games that Tampa has been like neck and neck with. So I still kind of question that that Thursday night opener with Dallas. I know Dallas is good, and they definitely
Dallas is one of those NFC heavy hitters.
They definitely could be. I think I'm still maybe in disbelief or just don't want to go to sleep at night knowing that they're potentially a good team. I just like making fun of them for the rest of my life. But there's just other games Tampa, I feel, has been just kind of neck and neck with teams that maybe potentially they shouldn't have. I mean, think about recently they did just play Philadelphia as well. And it was kind of, up in the air until the end. And I think we could both agree Philadelphia is not a good team. So they are not the Dallas Cowboys. So I don't know. I think with Arizona, though, it's consistency. You see Kyler Murray doing great things. He's, he's what Arizona has given him threat-wise, he's using that to his advantage. So I think that's great. I think right now, though, I understand like the legacy of Tampa Bay. I'm talking legacy 1 year, a year legacy of them being scary and bringing back everyone. I understand that concept of being a threat and being nervous if they are coming up on your schedule. But I think Arizona is the in the moment threat right now. So,
okay. All right.
Okay, second question that we asked you all. Will Detroit pick up their first win of the season before their week 9 bye? And just so everyone is aware, this week they are playing the Rams and next week they are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. So this was a 50-50 split. half of you said yes and half of you said no. So I'm actually a little surprised by, the even split here with the results.
I'm not surprised on the even split on the tie because I went back and forth on what, like, when I make my votes, just so it counts into the system, I make it on Caitlin's page.
Mm-hmm.
And I answered the other two poll questions. And then I had to sit and think about this one and answer it later on and come back to it. I went with yes here, that they are going to pick up their win. And I guess because I'm saying this now, I'm going to have to actually, do it for this game. I think it's going to be ugly against the Rams. And that is a fun game, though, because it is Jared Goff going up against his old team. I think they're going to not be well against the Rams. Philly. And if it ends up being my upset pick that week, I just feel as though, Caitlin, and especially you've been saying that Detroit is not as bad as a team that has not picked up a win yet. They're in these games. So to me, it's like, they got to win one of these. They are in these games and they are competitive enough to win. And I'm going to say that they pick it up over Philly in week 8, right before their bye.
Yeah, so I went with no on this one. I don't think they're going to pick it up in the next 2 weeks. Obviously, I agree with you that this week is probably going to be a potential bloodbath with the Rams going against them because they are a very good team, as we just saw last week.
Yeah.
And Detroit's just not closing games out, and I don't think they'll even get to a point where they could potentially close it out with the Rams. Do I think they can get to a point where they close it out with the Eagles? Absolutely. But like I just mentioned with the last question, look how neck and neck the Eagles were with Tampa Bay. Maybe
I think that score of that Tampa Bay Philly game was much closer than what it
felt like. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
I think Philly kind of like picked up some garbage points at the end.
Right.
And to me, it's like, if I had not actually watched that game and I just saw that score, I'd be like, wow, Philly like played neck and neck with Tampa Bay when they really didn't.
Yeah, I just think that the comparison I'm trying to make is that the Lions aren't, I guess, getting those garbage points at the end. And it's not the way to win. It's not at all, but they're just not, I can't really articulate it right now. But I'll still stand by what I said of that. They're not like an 0-17 team. They're absolutely not. The win is going to come. I just think that even the last 2 weeks too, and then obviously you even have the head coach calling out Jared Goff, saying you have to step up a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe there's some tension in the locker room too. I just don't see it within the next 2 weeks. So no real rhyme or reason or statistical value. I'm not feeling high hopes out in Detroit.
Okay.
Alrighty, and then finally, who would you rather have returned to the Real Housewives of New York, Dorinda Medley or Bethany Frankel? 57% of you went with Dorinda Medley.
Yeah, so actually, I didn't even realize this until we were going through it, but you and I went over 3 tonight on agreeing with each other. I went with Dorinda Medley on this, and I definitely, and Caitlin, you can remember this, I've said it on the show before, besides take out Dorinda's last season that she was on of Roni, where things got really ugly and she was just a mean-spirited person for no reason. I have said that Dorinda's my favorite housewife. So I think the reason she was mainly mean-spirited is because she had this stick up her butt about Tinsley for no good reason.
No reason at all.
But if Tinsley is not there, my hope is that I would rather see Dorinda come back and be that lovable Dorinda, be that Dorinda that was so amazing that I called her my favorite housewife. And if Tinsley's not there, I feel like she could get back on track. I'd rather have her back. Although obviously it would be nice to see both.
I agree. This question truly kills me. We saw it on one of our, favorite Bravo accounts a couple of weeks ago. And I remember I DM'd the girl and I was like, "You're killing me with this question." And she laughed back because it's true. I wish there was a both option. I wish they could both come back for sure. 2 of my all-time favorite housewives here for sure. I did go with Bethany, and I think it's based off this last season. Bethany was that no nonsense, no bullshit person where it was just guys, come on. What are we doing? Anything like that. She was a bitch, and she would put you in her place. A lot of people needed to be put in their place this past season, and it was a horrendous season. And I think mean Dorinda could have done it too, but Bethany was just always like that. That was always her, MO, and you didn't want to mess her, you didn't want to cross her. And if she was upset, like, oh God, like, so I think we needed that like firm, like attitude this past season. And I miss her. I feel like it's been 100 years. Like we were so upset when, we found out she wasn't coming back. So I really liked what she brought to the show. And yeah, so I do miss her for sure. But listen, I love them to both back. I love Dorinda too. She brought so much to that franchise.
Let's get her back on track. She needs to, she needs to get back there and show that she could be her lovable Dorinda self.
Absolutely. So those were our poll questions for you guys. And we thank everyone again. We got some great engagement across social media tonight with the votes. We did get one question in for us though. So, and this is a very real-time question because it's with news in regards to the Thursday night football game tomorrow. So if you have not heard, Case Keenum will be starting tomorrow over Baker Mayfield. So the question for us is, does Case Keenum
over an injured Baker Mayfield?
Yes. Does Case Keenum give the Browns a better chance to win tomorrow, over an injured Baker Mayfield? So just to clarify that part a little bit more too, this shoulder injury that he has, he's actually been dealing with it for quite some time.
It's a pretty bad torn labrum, I believe.
So they even said like this is something that he would take care of off season. He wouldn't take care of it now. So clearly they're sitting him. So that's where that phrase comes, like an injured Baker Mayfield, because he's technically been injured for the past a little bit. So yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think, Case Keenum could be better than that?
I'm going to say yes, as long as they've been preparing Case Keenum for this moment.
Right.
I feel as though if Baker has been banged up all season, then they should have been preparing Case Keenum, could be going in at any moment. Let's hope that that's what they were doing. And if that's the case, then yes, Case gives them a better chance to win. He's obviously a backup quarterback, but he has had many starts in the National Football League. This is not a backup quarterback that is like totally green to, starting a football game in the NFL. And yeah, it's a torn labrum. That's in your arm. Right. You're a quarterback. Like I think give Baker the rest, and I do believe that Case is a better option. 100% healthy Case Keenum over a pretty banged up Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing against Baker. It has to do with the injury. And yes, I think that this is the right move for Cleveland.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so. Case Keenum is a phenomenal backup quarterback. I think after Taysom Hill, I think he is the highest paid backup quarterback, and for good reason. So, I mean, obviously Taysom Hill is the most paid for his reasoning in New Orleans, but Case Keenum is a really good backup quarterback to have. And like you said, he's seen his fair share of starts. So if they are preparing him, like you had just said, and they're doing everything properly to make this decision for Baker to not play Thursday night, to make this decision like the day before the game, he's been preparing 100%. They know this is a good backup option for them. I think he will do well. We'll get into it later with our picks. Unfortunately, the Browns as a team are a little banged up right now, so I can't guarantee you that Case Keenum is going to bring them to a full-blown victory or overall success. But right now, your best option is playing him. So, so definitely he gives them a better chance to win tomorrow.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for that question. And again, if you guys have any questions, go to YouTube, go to Facebook. Ask away. We will answer live and we will shout you out. So let us know. But for now, we are going to get into our big stories of the week in the world of football. And we actually have some college news as well as some quick hot topics in the NFL. But let's start in the world of college football. Obviously this is a big one. So on Sunday, LSU's director of athletics announced that Coach O will not return as the head coach of the Tigers in 2022. I feel as though this has been rumbling and rumors about this for a while now. I think Caitlin is frozen. Yeah, but that's okay because I'm talking. I can continue. She'll come back to us. But this decision, comes 21 months after Coach O led the LSU Tigers to the 2019 national championship. That run was obviously with Joe Burrow. We all remember that. But since then, since winning the national championship, the team has gone 9-8, which is obviously very disappointing. And
I'm back.
She is back.
I'm back.
And despite a 49-42 upset win over Florida this past weekend on Saturday, negotiations between Coach O and the school had already begun prior to that game. Like I said, I feel as though this has been rumbling for a while and kind of expected amongst everybody. But he has been the head coach of the team since midway through 2016 when he replaced Les Miles. And yeah, we'll see where LSU goes on from here. I don't know if they're going to go in-house with a replacement or try and bring in a big name. Obviously, LSU is a big name football school. So we shall see. Caitlin, what do you think about this?
I was actually very shocked. There's definitely been that rumor mill going on. I think a lot of the rumors are dealing from like personal issues with Coach O. Obviously, he's going through a pretty sloppy divorce right now. There were allegations of him cheating. There's allegations of him, dating these younger girls. And like I've heard they would come to practice and things like weird things like that you've heard over the past like couple of months and everything. I really didn't think LSU was going to depart from Coach O. And this has come from the outside of being, an Alabama fan, not an LSU fan, and for me, the outside perspective is that, LSU fans, love him, would do anything for him, die for him. He took you to
his players.
Took you to a national championship. That was that team was and again, this is coming from an Alabama fan. That team was unstoppable. They were an insane, insane team that year. And what I've uncovered over the past, couple days is that no, the fans have not been on his side lately, and it's not okay. And you don't, LSU is not on the map right now. You just don't do what you did a couple of years back.
And LSU, you have to be on the map.
You have to be. You have no other option. And then, to have.
Oh, she's frozen again. We'll get the rest of her thoughts on that. She can finish off her sentence when she's back. But we do have an NFL quick hot topic. So on Friday, again, this is another one that the rumors were swirling for a real long time, especially in the offseason, but it has finally happened. On Friday, Philadelphia, she's back.
Oh,
Why don't you finish your thought? I was going into the next one.
I don't even remember what my thought was.
Well, I was saying that this NFL story was another one that was rumbling for a really long time, especially during the offseason. And now it has finally happened. So on Friday, Philadelphia agreed to trade tight end Zach Ertz to Arizona in exchange for rookie cornerback Tay Gowan and Arizona's 5th-round pick in 2022. Ertz has been with Philadelphia since 2013, a 3-time Pro Bowler. He leaves Philly with the 2nd most receptions in club history. He's definitely had a phenomenal career in Philly. And, people always joke that although he played the tight end position, he was really like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because every season he would finish as the top player on the Eagles with the most receiving yards. So he was like, when we talk about how there's always so few solid tight ends, like there were, like in the beginning of his career, there were times when Zach Ertz, like definitely fantasy football wise, he was the guy to get. He was going to go 1,000 yards receiving, have a bunch of touchdowns, but he has been massively plagued by injuries throughout his career and throughout his time. So he is going to Arizona. Dallas Goedert is obviously going to hopefully for Philly, be their long-term replacement at tight end. And Arizona actually is getting Zach Ertz when they need him because their tight end, Max Williams, suffered a knee injury last week. So it works out for both squads. I do believe that Dallas Goedert is capable of, filling the shoes and, well, maybe not completely filling the shoes, but he's a capable, tight end one for that team. And he's younger, obviously hasn't dealt with the injuries. So I feel as though both teams are kind of making out well with this one.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And I think, Arizona did what probably every team, wanted to do or should have done, was wait a little bit. You're right. There was rumblings before the season started. I thought Ertz was going to be traded before the season even started. So we're going into week 7. I guess I thought at this point we were done. There was going to be no more. He was staying in Philly. But Arizona, you're right, coming on a time where they need him and they could advance on this opportunity. So why not? Go make the phone call. Go talk. See what's out there, because there aren't that many tight ends. But listen, if you picked up Zach Ertz in fantasy this year, like I'm sure obviously people did, but like good for you wherever you got him, because I think he's going to make a big impact in Arizona right away. So
you think that I don't think people picked him up in fantasy.
They probably picked him up as a backup. Like, who's your backup tight end? I don't even know.
I don't have backup tight ends. I have one tight end. And when my tight end went on the bye week, which was last week with Kyle Pitts, I dropped a player, picked up another tight end, and now I got rid of that tight end again.
I always have a backup tight end because sometimes they do randomly go off, so you can put them in your flex if you want to. I
don't think there's enough good ones. But
yeah,
it will be interesting. Arizona's in a position where obviously they're undefeated right now. Maybe they can give up draft picks because they've got a pretty solid squad. I don't know. So I think it worked out for both teams.
I agree.
All right.
Alrighty. Let's talk about week 6. Again, it's one of the more interesting seasons in the NFL for sure. So let's talk about what happened this past week. So Jacksonville beat the Miami Dolphins 23-20 in the final second in London on a 53-yard field goal by Matthew Wright. This is their first win since week 1 of the 2020 season.
I want to brush my shoulders off because I'm pretty proud of that one. That was one of my best picks last week. I did say that Jacksonville was going to pick up a win in London, and I felt pretty good about that one.
Oh, comment on YouTube. Someone brought 3 tight ends onto their fantasy team, and now they only have 1 and they're hurt. So listen, it's not a terrible strategy, because also this is a season unlike any other where we are seeing injuries left and right. One of my fantasy teams is so banged up right now. I don't even know who is starting for me anymore. It is so bad. But yeah, so fun fact about the Jacksonville Jaguars, kicker. He was a software engineer a couple weeks ago and tried out. I think he sent like a video, tried out, made the team, and just won off of a 53-yard field goal.
And now they've released Josh Lambo. They're like,
I thought that was a little aggressive on their part.
A little aggressive, but they're like, we're going with this kid. So all right.
He made one, like, relax. Like,
no, but he actually made another.
No, I know.
So it wasn't like he had 2 big field goals at the very end of the game. So it was very impressive.
I know. I just, So, but good for him. Like, listen, living out your dream as an NFL kicker. And these days, I mean, good for you.
Kickers are such trash. Like,
I know.
I feel as though teams should be like open auditions for a Joe Schmo off the street to come be the kicker, because honestly, it might be better than the talent we're looking at in the NFL.
I will 100% try out. But shout out to Jacksonville. Obviously a W under their belt. So now we just have one team, the Detroit Lions, that are 0-6.
Yeah.
So it's good. You got one undefeated team, one defeated team. So we'll see if anything interesting happens in week 7 there. Yeah. So the Minnesota Vikings beat the Carolina Panthers 34-28 in overtime on another game winner. Oh, excuse me. Yes, another game winner, but this time it was a touchdown 27-yard catch by KJ Osborne. So I'm
going to say it again, said it last week. Kirk Cousins is quietly having a phenomenal season.
I need to start starting. He's my backup quarterback. I need to start
You need to at least like see who both of your quarterbacks are playing that week and really think about it.
I need to be better. But when the bye week comes, I know I'm good. So that'll be all good there. So Arizona, as we've been speaking about, is 6-0 for the first time since 1974. So they beat Cleveland 37-14. I know that was, Katie and I both picked Cleveland last week in the upset. So it's unfortunate, but hey, you gotta pick your upsets here and there. So it was definitely doable, but Arizona came out on top. Dallas beat New England 35-29 in overtime on a 35-yard game-winning touchdown catch by CeeDee Lamb. That game was a nail biter at the end of that game. And of course, it's Dallas and the Patriots. So you're like, God, I don't like both of them. I really did want the Patriots to come out on top in that game. It was really, I didn't know who was going to win at the end, but it just, it was a good one for sure.
Yeah.
That Diggs interception at the end that sealed the deal, definitely. But that was the most beautiful pick six I think I've ever seen in my life. So, and it kills me to say, as soon as he picked off that ball and ran to the touchdown, I just kind of looked up at the sky and I was like, why, God, does every Bama boy that I love play for team that I do not like? So it frustrates me. I love him for 4 years.
I honestly am still one of those people that I'm really not bothered by New England at all. Like I really have nothing against them. And when it comes to New England versus Dallas, there's a team there that I absolutely despise and a team that really doesn't bother me.
I think it's just the whole, it's just like the Boston complex and it's like they're annoying and like you had Tom Brady forever and like now you kind of don't. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like that's what it was. That's really what it is. It's like you hate them because you hate them.
Feel the way they feel, but to me, I've always been like, they don't bother me.
Yeah. Alrighty, and then Pittsburgh kicker Chris Boswell, we used to talk about him all the time. Good to see he's back in the spotlight here. Made a 37-yard game-winning field goal to help the Steelers beat Seattle 23-20. Listen, I think the Steelers needed that win. They've been kind of up and down and kind of questionable, and I think that walk-off win for them was much, much needed. So,
yeah.
Derrick Henry, God, he's a monster. He absolutely killed it on Monday night. They won 34-31 over the Buffalo Bills. I think a lot of people had Buffalo in the bag, and that was it. You were done. That was it moving forward. Of course, I thought Buffalo was going to, win that game. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be another 40-0, but a very, very great showing up from the Tennessee Titans, 34-31. But let's talk about Derrick Henry and his game, 143 rushing yards and 3 rush touchdowns.
I watched the entirety of this game, and just like a little fun fact, going into that game, right? I was down 36 points in fantasy. The person I was playing had nobody left, and I had Steph Diggs.
Yeah.
I had no business even coming close to winning.
Right.
He ended up finishing with 30 points. And I truly believe if Buffalo had kicked that field goal at the end and went into overtime, I could have freaking won. Steph Diggs had himself a game. I had no business even being close. But the fact that he got that close and then they kicked the field goal instead of just going into overtime literally killed me.
I know.
But I did watch that. So I watched the entirety of that game. Obviously, I had a pony in the race there. But I was watching and being like, I need a guy like Derrick Henry on my fantasy team because this is just insanity. Like this is what I need on my team.
I know. I need that too.
Unbelievable.
The points,
Unreal.
baby. But yeah, honestly, hats off to him. He, to me, if he keeps having games like this, he's got to win MVP. I can't look at another quarterback or someone else. Like he is putting up the numbers, like give respect to where respect is due. So
absolutely. It was another great week. We've got week 7 coming up. And as we go into our picks right now, I will remind you guys, especially for fantasy purposes, I have a ton of guys on the bye this week.
Oh,
we do have Buffalo, Dallas, Jacksonville, the Chargers, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh. There's 6 teams are on the bye. So do your due diligence up, see who you have to pick up, drop, all that good stuff. But other than that, let's get into our week 7 picks. I think you should kick us off, and I'm gonna try and follow and keep along with you.
All right. Well, I'm looking over on my left-hand side. So if you notice me freezing, just shout out so I know that I'm frozen. All righty. So to kick off week 7, I am going with the Denver Broncos tomorrow at Thursday Night Football. I'm also going with Green Bay, Tennessee, Miami, the New England Patriots, Carolina, Baltimore, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Bears, the Indianapolis Colts.
Hold on. Las Vegas Raiders, the Rams. Who'd you say after the Rams?
The Cardinals.
Okay.
And I said, the Bears. And then I'm going with the Colts. And to wrap things up on Monday night, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. My lock is the Arizona Cardinals over the Houston Texans.
Okay.
And my upset is the Chicago Bears over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Woo!
I know.
Bold one.
It is spicy this week, baby.
That is very spicy. So,
Let's see.
if I counted correctly, I think we have 6 different, which is a lot. Yeah, we've been pretty like close so far this entire season, but this is a big difference. So in week 7, I had Cleveland, but I am changing my pick due to quarterback situation.
I'm taking a mulligan and changing.
I'm taking a mulligan. I am taking Denver, Carolina, New England, Kansas City, Green Bay, Atlanta, Baltimore, the Rams, Philly, Arizona, Tampa Bay, San Fran, and New Orleans.
Okay.
My lock, I'm with Caitlin. Easiest lock of the season. Arizona over Houston. My upset is the Philadelphia Eagles over the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's a big upset.
I just feel as though Las Vegas obviously got off to that hot start, and I don't want to like really discredit them, but I wasn't really sold on the fact that they were as good as their record was showing.
I think what I picked them to lose last week. I commend them for coming out of all the bullshit that happened last week.
To win last week.
I didn't. So I thought they were going to lose because of all the shit that was happening within their organization. And I commend them so much. Like they came out strong. So
I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that Philly loses. And another reason is because I have Dak Prescott on the bye. I am going with Derek Carr at my quarterback spot. So I hope he has a big, big game against Philly. And I don't give a shit. I want to be wrong. I hope Philly loses. Go Raiders.
I hope I'm wrong.
I hope I'm wrong. Seriously. That's how every week when I don't pick the Giants to win, I hope I'm wrong.
I didn't.
We will see. So it's gonna be a good week for sure.
It's so funny because I don't know why I thought of this, but it's because I thought of Carolina. We're playing Carolina.
Yeah.
And I always think of their mascot that they have. I gotta say, the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot every game, like, plummets off of like this tall building and like bungee jumps. Katie, I gotta tell you, this has been the most entertaining thing this football season. I think like the literally just leaps off of this thing and like just plummets like this mascot. Like I don't know how much they're paying their mascot. Like I don't know how much NFL mascots make, but this guy is risking his life week after week. Like you got to watch these videos. They are freaking hilarious.
I definitely don't watch enough Jacksonville Jaguar games to.
I just see it on Twitter every week.
Okay,
and it's so funny. Like that's like how they get pumped up. And like, here you go. You guys finally got a W after your mascot's been risking his life week after week. It could be a girl too. I don't know. Like whatever the cat is, the Jaguar that's leaping off the thing. But it has been pure entertainment. So listen, after the W, maybe it'll make a even bigger appearance this weekend. So oh wait, no, they're on a bye. They're on down. Darn.
Yes, they are on the bye.
Damn. All right, we got to wait 2 weeks for the Jaguar to plummet again. So, but great content from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's too funny.
All right, let's get into our big stories of the week for Housewives. And this first one is spicy, but don't worry, we're coming back with football with a great tight end game later, which we never talk about tight ends, but it'll be a great game. But this is a spicy, hot topic, and it's hot off the press because Vicky Gunvalson is no longer with her ex-fiance Steve Lodge. So we did meet him on one of the last season she was on of Orange County. We actually did meet him. So there are so many breaking news stories here. The engagement is over. And now recently she's accusing him of cheating. So she took to Instagram to say that he used her, lied to her, and that he's been dating a 36-year-old. So this is all over social media that we're all seeing this. So Tamra, who's on Orange County as well, Also chimed in on these comments addressing, because some fans were questioning, like, did he cheat? What did he do? So she's chiming in now saying that Steve had been using Vicky and her social media following to help him when he was running for governor. So people kind of forget that he was literally running for like the governor of wherever they are in California. I don't know, or I guess Orange County. So what I forgot. So there's also claims that when Vicky was out of town on work, he was taking the woman that he was dating to her condo in Mexico and flaunting her around town in Orange County, making out in public places. Listen, Steve is like old, like a Harry Dubin. We don't need to see you making out in public
When old
places.
people only make out in the privacy of their own
But
home.
don't even I don't even want to hear about making out in the privacy of your own home. Like, I've said this for my whole life. And I know my sister always found this hilarious. And I think I've said this on the show before. You are not allowed to make out after the age of I don't know, 40, maybe earlier than that.
Oh my God.
Maybe earlier.
Oh my God. Are you trying to tell me I only got 8 more years of making out?
Yeah, yes, you better hang up this, get your husband and be like, listen, we only got, according to Caitlin's clock, we've only got 8 more years of making out. It is it's so disgusting to see old people do
It is.
But I got to tell you, as I'm getting older now, though, too, I don't care who I see. I'm like, that's gross.
Yeah, I mean, hardcore making out in public, let's be honest, at any age is okay, that's aggressive.
I'm going to call the police. Stop.
But when I think of old people doing it, I will forever think of Ramona and Harry Dubin.
Oh,
it really made me hardcore cringe.
So gross. It is not okay. You can't be doing that. Not cool.
No.
So here we have another old man making out in public places. So but since then, Steve has actually come out and made some claims here. Yeah. He denies cheating, insists that their breakup actually happened back in December of 2020, not in September, when it was, when we found out, when it was publicly announced. So
let's keep in mind too, I kind of, he could potentially be telling the truth here, because what we do know when we spoke about it last week on the show is that they really were not living together for the majority of the pandemic. That was public put out there. That was the thing that we had heard. So
yeah. So we do have a quote from Mr. Steve Lodge. So here it is. So Vicky and I ended our engagement and relationship in December of 2020. I did this in person verbally and explained to her in writing. I wanted to move on with my life, and I could not do that with Vicky. I'm sorry that Vicky cannot accept this, but it was time. The absolute lies she is now spreading on social media is very disappointing and disingenuous, to say the least. But I cannot say I'm surprised. She should most be dragging she should not be dragging Tamra or anyone else into her lies. With that being said, I still wish her all of the best. So with the claims that, he cheated on Vicky while staying in her condo in Mexico, he did say, I've been living in Puerto Vallarta, in my own condo, not hers, since the beginning of 2020.
And then apparently Vicky followed up by saying, he did buy his own condo in that complex that, I have my condo, but he didn't fully move his stuff out until whenever. And it's
that's just sketchy in itself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really buying into these things that Vicky is saying, because listen,
I kind of believe her.
And if he's telling the truth that he ended this in December, that's almost a year ago. Yeah, he could have moved on, and this girl that he's making out with could be under the, assumption that he did in fact end things with Vicky, and he's a man to do what he wants to do.
Well, yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, he's not. But I think a lot of the claims are coming from maybe even before December that, he was cheating or whatever. I don't know. There's always so much drama, Loms. I think kind of where I am believing them when housewives want to get shady and they want to, throw people under the bus, they just come out and do it. The way in which this was done was through social media. Yes, it was definitely shady, but there was no intent to do it right away. So Tamra was posting something like, I want to get Vicky out. We want to whoop it up. She's upset. She's not like herself, everything like that. Then a lot of fans were commenting, like, we need to know what happens. Like, did he cheat? Did he do all this stuff? And then that's when they responded to it. So it was more like a reaction, like, to something. And like, I feel like if they wanted to really like make a big scene or like be dramatic about it, they would have called up Page Six and they were like, Steve Lodge cheated on me. You know what I mean? You know, these housewives, they're fucking ruthless. So I think that's why I do kind of believe her. So, but I'm sure more is going to come out in the next, like,
Probably.
So it's not over.
Well, speaking of juicy
Maybe there's
stories,
something here. I don't know.
This second big story of the week has to do with a book release. And there is a new tell-all Housewives book that has just hit the shelves. If you need a gift, a birthday gift for one of your gal pals, if you need, or guys, if you want to gift yourself. And then obviously Christmas will probably be here before we know it. I feel like we're just going to blink and here it is. But author Dave Quinn wrote the book, Not All Diamonds and Rosé, the inside story of the Real Housewives from people that lived it. It is nearly 500 pages, everybody, and it features more than 150 interviews with the women from the different franchises, as well as the behind-the-scenes crew members, Andy Cohen. Like, this really dives in. So over the summer, I actually read a book, a Housewives book, which was good. This one seems more juicier. Like, we are going to spill some deets that you never knew before.
I need it.
And they are juicy. So there are already, based on articles that have been written about the book so far and people's reactions, we have learned some fun things already without actually purchasing the book and reading it ourselves. So some of the little fun facts that we learned, the show in the very beginning almost became like the Real World, where they were planning on casting new women each season. It was Andy Cohen who was the one that insisted on keeping the same ladies. So we could have.
Gee bless Andy.
Yeah, I mean, we could have. And his main reason, and I did read this, was he was like, we want people to fall in love with these women, right? And then come back for them on the next season and the next season. But we really want people to like love who these women are that we have picked and continue and to build fan bases around these women. Right. So agree, it was the right move. Casting producers, they regularly we always hear celebrity housewife rumors, and a lot of them are just bogus BS, not true. But it seems as though the things coming from this book are pretty accurate. So casting producers have actually regularly reached out to Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's wife, to join the Real Housewives of Orange County, but she apparently turns it down year after year.
Yeah.
That would certainly be interesting to see her now, but it's still such a sad thing that like it's hard to even like wrap your head around it and still think about that actually happened. So
I kind of think of like what would have happened if that, when Kobe
she had
died
been
on the show.
If she's been asked year after year, like what if she was asked while Kobe was still alive and then she was actually on the show going through that? That's intense. I can't even think about it. What else do we have? We have Bethany's co-stars, including Ramona and Carol, giving interviews for this book, believing that the "It's About Tom" moment was set up by Bethany herself.
No!
This is what they believe. They believe, obviously, Tom was cheating, but they believe as though the woman he was caught that Bethany saw the picture of him making out with was somebody that was friends with they think Bethany had her friend go to the Regency and take this picture of Tom. So people, they think Bethany had had heard these rumors.
Yeah.
And then Bethany actually sent a friend to go to the Regency to try to capture this and take a picture of it. She didn't.
That's fine.
So she didn't stumble upon it.
Right.
Her friend just wasn't there and was like, "Oh my God, look what just happened." Like Bethany was like, "I'm sending you, get proof so I can bring this to Luann."
No, that's such an iconic. I literally just retweeted, not that it's about Tom because that's the most iconic scene. I did retweet another iconic scene was when they do go into her room and they're like, "Oh my God, Bethany, you look like you're dead." And she's like in the bed, like crying. She's, "Give me some alcohol. Give me that." That is like, honestly, if that was fake, she deserves like an Oscar for that performance.
I kind of, if Ramona and Carol were right about this, in a way, I don't blame Bethany because I think a lot of people tried to warn Luann about marrying Tom, and she was so head over heels in love with him that she didn't want to hear it from anybody.
No.
So I think the only way like she would have actually taken somebody's word for it that he was like messing around on her is if there was actual physical proof. Here is a picture.
And that season, she was having issues with all the women. She was only going to hear it from Bethany. Like Bethany, like was the straight shooter.
It's kind of like if that's true, she kind of had to do what she had to do to like get through to win.
It's about Tom.
It's about Tom.
It's about Tom.
Kim and Kyle, obviously, they had that really famous limo scene from season 1 of Beverly Hills, and it was very intense. Obviously, talking about the fact that Kim was an alcoholic and so on and so forth. And to the point where they begged producers to take out that limo scene. They begged them. Obviously, they did not listen. No. We caught that moment. It's a very famous moment in that franchise's history. Sonia also urged producers to stop filming Kelly during the Scary Island episode because she was so concerned with Kelly's state of mind. I actually have read about that in the book that I read, that producers were, they kept filming her, but when they actually, one of them had to escort her and like fly back with her when she left, they were just like, she did not seem like a well person. Like she was really off her rocker. Andy revealed that when Kim got the boot from Real Housewives of Atlanta, that her husband Croy actually yelled at Andy in a bathroom, like, and went crazy on him. And Andy admits that that was the first time that he had ever felt over the years that he was truly going to be punched in the face. So,
my God,
it was so intense. And he said they took it so poorly, like being booted off the show, that like Croy literally found him in the bathroom and freaked out on him.
Wow, Andy, you gotta watch yourself.
Yeah, for real. So also there was another comment from Andy saying that Simon and Alex from Roni, they took it really poorly too when they got the boot, and they really they let him have an earful as well, and that he feels as though it's never been like that was one of the most intense times of letting somebody else go as well. While some thought Vicky's friend demotion on Real Housewives of Orange County was caused by her accusing Kelly Dodd of doing coke during the season 13 reunion, Andy revealed that they had been having conversations about pulling Vicky out for years because she did not have much of a storyline left. So it was something that they really had been thinking about doing for a long time. And then, obviously, finally, here we are. She's not on anymore. But yeah, those were just a couple of the fun facts. And honestly, if you don't buy the book, you can look up these articles, and there's like a ton more that I didn't include in the show here. But it's pretty fascinating, and I think it's a very good read for our Housewives lovers out there.
Yeah, and they were all they had a book premiere last night. So they were all at the book premiere last night. So it was wild. It was crazy, it looked like. So
yeah. So again, not all diamonds and rose, the inside story of the Real Housewives from people that lived it, by Dave Quinn. Make a trip to Barnes and Nobles. That's like my happy place. Like go get it. Hit it up.
What is that line from Mean Girls where it's like, sorry, I laughed at you at the time you got diarrhea at Barnes and Noble. It wasn't Barnes and Noble. Yeah, I think so. And I'm sorry for telling everyone. Great movie. Iconic movie. All righty, let's play a game. We are talking about tight end tiers for Tight Ends Day. So this Sunday is actually the second annual National Tight Ends Day. So listen, you take that any way you want it, people. Is it actual tight ends for football or someone with a tight end? I don't know. However you want to take it. It is literally for tight ends in football. Don't worry, people. Get your heads out of the gutter. It is now celebrated every year on the fourth Sunday of October. So it's good. We're at a good point in the NFL season. Let's talk about these tight ends. So to celebrate, we're going to take a look at the tight ends through week 6 of the 2021 season and determine a couple of the following scenarios here. So we've got 3 things. We've got the top tight ends so far, top 5 tight ends so far, biggest sleeper in our opinion, and biggest disappointment so far. Yep. So let's go ahead and get started with the top 5 tight ends in our opinion so far. And when you tell us in order. So best to not worst because they're 5, but best to 5.
Yeah. Okay. So I really highly want to emphasize the phrase so far. So these are not who I think in general, like who are the 5 best tight ends in the National Football League. It's just who has been the best so far.
I can attest to that asterisk, so don't worry.
George Kittle is probably the second best tight end in the National Football League. He's not on my list.
He's not on my list either.
So that's why I just want to throw that one out there. Okay, so without further ado, number 1 on my list is Kansas City's Travis Kelce. I don't think I need to go more into that. He always delivers. Number 2 on my list is Baltimore's Mark Andrews. He is actually, it's hard to like tie someone exactly for yard wise, but he is tied with Travis Kelce for the most yards by a tight end right now in the league with 468 through 6 games. Number 3 on the list, I have Las Vegas's Darren Waller. He is top 5 for tight ends in receptions as well as receiving yards. Number 4 is a name that maybe we wouldn't have thought would make the list, but he's playing really well so far. I went with Dallas's Dalton Schultz. He is top 5 for tight ends in receptions, in receiving yards, and in touchdowns. So all like 3 major statistical categories. He's top 5 amongst tight ends. And then last but not least is a guy who is like a huge focal point for a team that is not so hot. I went with Detroit's TJ Hawkinson.
It's a great list you have for sure. We are very much identical except for one individual. Okay. I did have someone sneak into the top 5 because based off of potential, and we'll get there. Okay. But I will go with my list as well. So for me, my number 1 is Travis Kelce as well. No explanation needed there. I am swapping with you, and I am putting Darren Waller at the number 2 spot here. Okay. Only because I've seen him produce season after season. I am a little bit more familiar with Darren Waller, obviously a little bit more than him. Mark Andrews, I think coming into this season, I was a little skeptical with. He is my number 3 tight end here. Baltimore is just doing so well right now. It would be a complete idiocracy to not put him in the top 5. Their offense is just hot right now. So, and he's doing great things for sure. I have TJ Hawkinson at the number 4 spot. He is breaking out for a team, like you had said, that's not doing great, but he's that. When you look at a Detroit Lions game, you're seeing TJ Hawkinson. That's the name out there. That's who's making plays for them. Jared Goff seems to be clicking with him. So that's what you want with someone who's brand new to that organization and that offense.
Yep.
And my number 5, this was a name coming into the season that people had this in the top 5 list. He was not used for many games. We finally see him used, and people saw what he was made out of. So if the Falcons keep using Kyle Pitts, he is a top 5 contender here. I understand your pick with Dallas, but I just had to throw Kyle Pitts in this because we saw it. It was there. That was everything that he was. That's everything he's made of.
Please.
Keep it going. He is a top 5. He is the top 5. He is your number 5 tight end, in my opinion. You have to keep using him. We saw it. The numbers are there. So please, please, please keep that moving along, Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, let's talk about sleepers. So it's funny because we always talk about this, that the tight end position is so difficult to look at, end to end, because there's only a handful of people that are good. So the sleepers could technically be maybe a number 10 pick, maybe a number 8. They could be that there. So it's a lot. So I just want like our audience to preface, get that preface, because it's so much different than a running back or a wide receiver, to where I could be picking a, number 30 wide receiver and they could be technically a sleeper. So these guys, there's not many out there. So who did you pick with your sleeper?
I went with somebody, and the reason I went with them is because I feel like they're slowly creeping up the charts, and they might have not been like a huge name, like coming into the season. Definitely not necessarily fantasy wise, but I feel like he's kind of coming into his own a little bit. I went with Miami's Mike Gesicki.
Okay.
And I went with him because, like I said, he's slowly creeping up the charts. He's actually 5th in receiving yards for tight ends right now, 342 receiving yards. He had a monster game last week against Jacksonville, 8 catches, 115 yards. And I feel like he's just going to slowly keep rising. I like what I see from this kid. I think he has a lot of potential, and he's a name to keep an eye on for sure.
I like that pick. I like it. So I'm going with the Patriots, Hunter Henry. So again, a big name, a bigger name in the tight end realm. But here are the factors. This season, he's on the Patriots. So he's got a brand new team this season, probably a little bit overlooked by some people. The reason why I like Hunter Henry, he's getting the yards, but he's getting the touchdowns as well. You'll see with this list of tight ends, they're getting a bunch of yards this season, but not a lot of them are scoring. We could see that from, a Giants standpoint. We've got 3 tight ends and no one's scoring a touchdown. But they're also getting opportunities. But we're seeing that if you look at like the top 20 tight ends, a lot of these guys are, again, getting the yards, getting passes, things like that. Not a lot of them are scoring touchdowns. So Hunter Henry, I think, has 3 or 4 touchdowns already on the season, but he's tacking up those yards as well. So I like the 2 there. And I think, again, it might be just some people forgetting that he's playing for the Patriots now. So he's my quote unquote sleeper. I know that's definitely a little bit of an asterisk there, but I'm going to go with Hunter Henry.
All right.
And then biggest disappointment in the tight end world. I think mine was pretty obvious because it's a big disappointment.
I don't know if mine is obvious, but to me, it makes a hell of a lot sense. Like to me, it's obvious when I say it, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is somebody who came out of the woodwork last year, and he had a huge breakout year last year for a very good team with a very good quarterback. And people did go off that one breakout year last year. And I know people drafted him in fantasy football, and he is not delivering on any ends. I went with Green Bay's Robert Tonyan.
All right, that's not a bad. Yeah, that's a good pick.
He had 586 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns last season. He only has 11 catches through 6 games, 92 receiving yards, and only 1 touchdown. He's not even on pace, not even close to what he did last year. And this is for a guy that, you're in the system again. You're with Aaron Rodgers. You're with a solid offensive team. Like, I don't understand what has happened and why there's this huge drop off. If I'm missing something, somebody tell me. But I know people drafted him in fantasy, and I know it has had to be massively disappointing so far.
Yeah. It's a good pick for sure. And I'm on the same boat as you. I always think that with some players, like if there's something like big red lights that like you're missing, like I want to like know, but he's definitely point in case there. So mine is pretty obvious just because of how far down he is on the list. Like he's done absolutely nothing this season. And I understand that he has a counterpart out in Cleveland, but I'm going with Cleveland's tight end, Austin Hooper. Prior to this season, I've had him on fantasy before. He's not a bad tight end. He really isn't. But obviously I understand, he does, they've got the 1-2 punch there out in Cleveland, with Njoku, but I don't know, like he's got like 3 yards a game. Like that's just like average right now. Like he's not doing anything. Like there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And it's not like Cleveland doesn't know how to work with 2 tight ends. It's not like, and then also there's injuries too. So why are you not using him? It's almost like this broken record with us, with the Giants. Why aren't you using who people you picked up? They're not using them. But even when the opportunities are given over to Austin Hooper, he's not doing anything. So to me, that's a huge disappointment. But and I'm not thrilled. He's literally like at the bottom, like at the bottom, like not doing a single thing.
I'm not thrilled with his counterpart. So obviously I have I have Kyle Pitts in fantasy. He was on the bye last week. You know, it's slim pickings out there, but I had to pick a tight end, and I picked up Njoku. He gets me 1 point in fantasy, and I'm like, this is really fantasy football. Now I understand everybody's like love-hate relationship with it. It's been a little brutal. So happy to help Kyle Pitts back this week.
Right.
And like you said, Atlanta, let's go. Use him. I need to see it. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I'm surprised we got a 5-minute conversation out of just tight ends in general in the NFL. So that was a great game for sure.
Well, happy National Tight Ends Day to all of them on Sunday. And I did see just on Instagram before, I think it was on the NFL's Instagram account, Mark Andrews saying, I plan on having a beast of a day for National Tight Ends Day on Sunday. So tight ends, it's your day to deliver. Let's do some big things.
Let's see. We've got Ingram, Rudolph, and Smith. Let's have all three of them score a touchdown on Sunday.
I would love it. Let's do it.
Well, if Ingram can score, but I'm still going to be mad at him. So.
All right. Well, time of the night, time of the show to get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, Housewives, wine, life. Caitlin and I discussed what we were both going to be doing before the show, and they definitely feed off of each other. So, Caitlin, why don't you kick it off first, and I will gladly piggyback and join you.
All righty. Well, mine is twofold. The second part definitely deals with Katie's get it off her chest. So let's travel down to the Washington football team stadium. So this past week, I will say, quote unquote, honored the late Sean Taylor. Obviously, Sean Taylor was a phenomenal player in the NFL, and his life was taken way too early years back. He was one of those players that you were nervous to go up against Washington as a Giants fan. But as an NFL fan, as a football fan, you loved watching him. This story breaks my heart every single year. I liked Sean Taylor. Watching him was exciting. He was that, lightning of a player. He was so talented. He was that true grit of an NFL player. Everything that you wanted in someone on your team. And his life was just truly taken way too early. I'm not going to go into the story if you don't know it. I mean, I don't know where you've been living under a rock. Go ahead and Google it, but just something super, super tragic that happened to the entire NFL community, years back. So Washington honored him and retired his jerseys, number 21. Retired his jersey this past game. I have a couple of issues with that. First of all, it took way too long to retire his jersey. He gave so much to an organization in such a short amount of time, and his life was, again, literally tragically taken. This should have been done years ago. So I disagree with how long it took.
Yeah.
They informed the fans in the community 3 days before they were doing it. So there was no we're going to do this season. They told people 3 days. Oh, hi, we're going to retire Sean Taylor's jersey on Sunday. To me, from an organization that comes out every week saying, hey, we're this much closer to coming up with a new team name. That's your news every single week, as opposed to retiring one of your greatest players' jerseys and just retire and honoring his name. That pisses me off as a football fan. That shows how disconnected and how completely messed up your organization is. Your franchise is a disgrace. You are a disgrace.
Yeah.
That was disgraceful. If I was a Washington fan, I would be wouldn't you want to go to that game? So what if you didn't have tickets and now you got to scramble? And I'm not saying they're the most expensive tickets because they're probably not right now, but they probably went up after that announcement. So now I can't go to the game. I want to go and, think about how many people wanted to go to Eli's game. Think about how many people that want to go to, Strahan's Ring of Honor game.
We've known well in advance that this is the day it's happening.
literally like a year in advance we've known.
Yeah.
So 3 days before. And then you get to the day of. The way in which they honored him was, again, disgraceful. He has a road named after him in the stadium. But if you've been to MetLife Stadium, it's very similar to where there's roads, you cross the street, you go into the stadium, porta potties. So they're taking pictures by this road and they're like unveiling the new thing, porta potties. The sign is in front of a bunch of porta potties. So thank you, Sean Taylor, for everything that you did for us. Here's your name in front of a bunch of porta potties. They'd have a little section on the field with his number spray painted into a little square. It's like roped off, which I'll talk about in a second. The rope didn't work. And then at halftime, it's literally his family, no podium, not much, and just a little, like an easel that you can buy at Michael's probably with his jersey on it.
Yeah.
It was a very emotional day for his family. If you guys, again, the story, his daughter was there and she was clearly very emotional. For that family to go through what they went through and for you to tell them, hi, we're honoring your son, we're honoring your brother, your nephew, anything, your grandson, to that, it was literally nothing. You look to what the Giants did for Eli Manning and what they're going to do for Michael Strahan, and these two guys are alive. They gave everything to our organization, but they're living here today. Sean Taylor gave everything to Washington and is dead, like is literally not alive. So I hated all of that so much. It's again, just shows back, like, just they're a horrendous organization. They really are. Like, the Washington football team are so laughable. Like, they could have gone 17-0 this season. You're still laughable, and you're a disgrace to the NFL. From your ownership to some of your players to anything in personnel, like, you guys are disgraceful. Like, that day was disgraceful. What even more disgraceful, and this goes, I'll only be on it shortly because I know you want to tie into this as well. After the game, it came out that they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs. If you guys know Patrick Mahomes' brother, who is this TikTok annoying little piece of shit, like literally so annoying. He does a stupid, like, I don't know, like with the stupid, like, I can't do this stupid TikTok dances, but he does this stupid shit at every game, everywhere on the field. He was doing it on Sean Taylor's number, the blocked off section.
Just standing right on top of it.
Just going like this, doing a little dance, like, let me go and shake my ass. I don't even know how old he is. Like, are you a 20-year-old boy that's shaking your ass for TikTok every day? Like, get a job, A. You are literally going to be Patrick Mahomes' shadow for the rest of your life. Like, congratulations. That is so disrespectful. It's not even funny. What was even more disrespectful was his apology after the game, that he had no idea he was doing it on the number. Okay, I got to tell you, there was only, did you not look down? That was it. And he goes, and personnel escorted us there. That is where we were supposed to stand during the game. And if that was the case, then again, the Washington football team, you are disgraceful that you put Patrick Mahomes' family on Sean Taylor's number. That is it. That is my get it off my chest. Awful weekend. Sean Taylor, no offense, he's turning in his fucking grave right now. But it was a awful weekend for a absolutely tremendous NFL player. And I honestly feel bad for him and his family. It was beyond disgraceful. So
yeah, so absolutely agree with
sweating a little bit. I don't think I've ever been this mad in a while on to get it off my chest. Like, I'm sweating.
I'm piggybacking off of the Mahomes family. Okay. And yes, I agree with you. The brother has done very questionable things, and I know the world is just annoyed with him. But I think the world might be even more annoyed with his. And I think Kayla and I were talking. I don't think they've gotten married yet. So I think his fiance Brittany. And to be honest with you, I don't even fully read the articles anymore. I just see the headlines that she's like chomping her bit again normally after losses, right? But just in general, she's always bitching about something, always giving her 2 cents, always whining and complaining. Again, mainly if the Kansas City's lose a game, she whines and complains, calls people out, this, that, the third. So I know that she was just in the news recently again for doing it. Gisele Bündchen, Tom Brady's wife, was recently in the news this past week again for tweeting out something. She's also ran her mouth in the past as well. What I want to get at is Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. At the end of the day, you know, when all is said and done, they'll probably be definitely Tom Brady, but Patrick Mahomes probably as well, if he keeps up what he's doing, be two of the best quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League. And I just find it incredibly embarrassing that their wives or fiancés don't know how to shut the F up. So what I want to say is Eli Manning played in the league for 16 seasons. Not once did I ever hear a quote, a statement, definitely not a tweet, definitely nothing on Instagram, anything on social media from his wife. Nope. Never heard anything from Peyton Manning's wife. You know, probably could name off a bunch of other great quarterbacks in the league or not so great quarterbacks and say, I've never heard their significant others going off. I think it's so embarrassing for the two of them, for Patrick and Tom Brady. Somebody needs to stop them. At what point do these women realize that what they're doing is absolutely ridiculous? Right. And I'll end it real quickly by just saying, they always say the NFL is a business. And yes, I agree, right? I'm never going to go to my husband's place of work and chirp or bitch or complain or whine or moan to his coworkers or his superiors. That's absolutely ridiculous. When you put it in that thought process, in that sense, in those terms, this is your husband's job. This is your husband's career.
Yep.
And you're going out there running your mouths. At what point do they realize that that's never helping the situation? It's only making things worse. And then your men have to go out and publicly, like, they don't really apologize for you, but they're like, let's just sweep this under the rug. Like, do they go home and like tell them to shut the hell up? I don't understand.
I would.
Patrick Mahomes, lock away your fiance's phone. Honestly.
Seriously.
Lock
her away.
Her phone. Get her off Twitter. You have your PR person get her off Twitter.
That's what I think about too. Who the hell are their PR
relations
people?
Team needs to lock her down. It's embarrassing, and these women need to shut up.
And I think it's interesting too, because I love the business, scenario that you brought up. It's complete. It's perfect. It's literally a perfect like scenario to think of it like that, because you would never think about like, what if like your parent showed up to something and said, you'd be mortified. You don't go. That's not how the real world works.
I think if these women thought about it in that aspect, maybe they would it would stop them in their tracks next time. Probably not. But like, if they thought about it in that aspect, they might be like, okay.
Well, Giselle, Miss Supermodel of your life. What if Tom Brady went to your boss and all of the things that you do? Oh, Giselle didn't model enough pieces this time around. I didn't like the way she walked on the runway this time.
Those clothes she's wearing are ugly. I don't want her to wear those.
Yes, put her in something else. Have you ever been in the fashion world? They are cutthroat. Giselle probably wouldn't be walking on that damn runway. So I don't even know if Patrick Mahomes' fiance is like a fitness, whatever. I mean, she's like an influencer. I don't know what the hell that means anymore. But like, what if he was like, you are not good or you are not whatever? I can't.
I'm very thankful that Eli Manning was never like that. I'm very thankful. And I don't think
I would hate it. I would be so disgusted by him.
But I know that if Daniel Jones did, he wouldn't act that way either. Or she wouldn't act that way either. He wouldn't allow that to be a thing.
No.
So I'm glad that we don't have things are bad in New York for us. I'm glad
not that bad.
I'm glad we don't have wives tweeting out like we suck, fire this person, fire that person. I'm glad that there's nobody making it worse.
We literally have football drama. That's the drama I am equipped to deal with. I'm not equipped to deal with my quarterback's dumbass fiance. Because you know what? The thing is, if I look at her tweets sometimes and I don't follow her. They just come up on my feed. Right. Even his mom tweets now. Oh my God. I look at that stuff and I kind of roll my eyes. If that was our quarterback, you damn well know I'd be going right back at her and being like, listen, you need to shut up and
Yeah.
explain why. And I think your point is very well. It's interesting because like we are arguing for these people to be quiet. Katie and I are clearly the biggest football fans out there. You know, this is what we do. Like, this is our thing. If we were in a relationship with someone in the NFL, we always joked, oh, yeah, we'd be on the sideline, on the box in like a nice dress, like in a jersey, like on the sideline. We would never do this. And Katie and I actually know what we're talking about. We come to do this show week after week. These people that are going out there and chirping the stuff they say makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. And it's like, we know what we're talking about and we would never do something like that. You just got to like stay in your lane and just
absolutely
bring it down.
Done.
But I thought that, listen, they worked very well in tandem. Those get it off our chest. But I got to tell you, I'm still sweating from mine for sure. All righty. Well, thank you all, as always, for tuning in tonight live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We are also on the Instagram, so go ahead and follow us across all these platforms at The Real Football Fans in New Jersey. The podcast, too, if you're listening right now, thank you so much. Listen and subscribe. We are on all of your favorite podcast outlets, Apple Podcasts, the Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts. Someone asked me the other day if we were on iHeartRadio. I think we are, but I think my sister asked me. We're on like every they do podcasts. I think we're there, but I don't know. So someone let us know. Are we on iHeartRadio? Let us know. If that's where you listen to podcasts, let us know. But yes, listen and subscribe. Thank you so much. We've got some parting notes for you because you don't want to miss this. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. It is part 2 and it is part spicy, people. It has been a good one there. It was on tonight at 8:00. We're a little bit here if you're watching live, but you can always watch it on demand. Potomac is on Sundays at 8 p.m. Salt Lake City is also Sundays at 9 p.m. NFL Week 7, Thursday Night Football is Denver against Cleveland. Sunday night, you have Indianapolis versus San Francisco. And Monday night, you have New Orleans against Seattle. The college football slate, we have no ranked teams against no ranked teams this weekend. So you go out, you watch your favorite team. Obviously, I'll be supporting Alabama. Whoever you support, though, I'm sure it'll still be a great weekend of college games, great weekend of football games. But
quick little comment before we go. Caitlin got to catch a Giants game last weekend. I will be there this weekend at MetLife when the Giants play the Carolina Panthers. I want to let you know, people, the tickets are cheap as hell. If you are not doing anything on Sunday, there is no reason. Buy them, sit in the nosebleeds. Who cares? Let's go. Find me at the tailgate. I will be there, and I am ready. I'm excited. Find me. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's go, G-Men.
Go find Katie. That was the best part about last weekend, the tailgate. Yeah. So go.
There you go. There you go.
Go get her. It'll be a fun time. But thank you guys, as always, for joining us. We will catch you next time. Good night.